Hello, this is your business master. One of the most common questions people ask when preparing for a business sale, investment, or financing is a very simple one. How much is this business worth? But in reality, business valuation is rarely simple. It cannot be explained by a single number because the value of a business changes depending on context. The true starting point of valuation is not the financial statement. It is the question, who is buying this business and for what purpose? Is the buyer an owner-operator who plans to run the business personally? Or is the buyer an investor or a company that will hire professional management? This distinction is critical because it determines which valuation metric is appropriate. In practice, the most commonly used benchmarks are SDE, EBITDA, and cash flow. They may sound similar, but they serve very different purposes. Let's start with SDE, or Seller's Discretionary Earnings. SDE answers one key question. How much can a single owner realistically take home from this business? It begins with net profit and adds back owner salary, owner benefits, personal expenses, depreciation, interest, and one-time costs. In other words, it reconstructs the tax return into a normalized view of what one owner-operator can actually earn. Because of this, SDE is most commonly used for small businesses, family-owned companies, and franchise operations. Next is EBITDA, which stands for Earnings Before Interest, Taxes, Depreciation, and Amortization. EBITDA focuses on the operating performance of the business itself, independent of financing structure or ownership. It is designed for investors and corporate buyers who are evaluating scalability, efficiency, and long-term profitability. That's why larger companies and investment-driven acquisitions typically rely on EBITDA rather than SDE. Now let's talk about cash flow. Cash flow is the most intuitive concept, but also the most misunderstood. From a buyer's perspective, cash flow usually represents the money that actually remains after debt service, taxes, and operational expenses. This is why cash flow is best understood as a result, while SDE and EBITDA are tools used to estimate that result. For example, a business with $200,000 in SDE may be valued at $500,000 using a 2.5 multiple. Another business with $150,000 in EBITDA may be valued at $600,000 using a 4 times multiple. Different metrics, different buyers, different outcomes. So in conclusion, there is no single correct answer in business valuation. What truly matters is who the buyer is, how the deal is structured, and what the buyer's objective is. Business value is not just a number. It is determined by context. And ultimately, the final decision always comes down to cash flow. Business valuation is not a calculation problem. It is a structural reading problem. Thank you. This has been your Business Master. Subscribe for deeper perspectives on business, value, and cash flow.